We're going to go live now to City Hall, where Mayor Olivia Chow was speaking after several speed cameras were cut down across the city overnight. Let's listen in.
If you get hit by a car that's driving at 30K, 10% chance you'll die. 30K, okay, that's, 90% you're going to survive. If you are hit by a car at 40K, 30%. By 50 kilometers, that's 10 kilometers more than 40, it's 85% chance you're going to not survive. That's called fatality. Okay? So we do know speed kills. We also know that from the Sick Kids study that the camera works. Red light cameras, the speed cameras work. What does it do? It actually slows people down. The Sick Kids Hospital had an incredibly in-depth review of that, and we know it slow the cars down. So cutting down speed camera is not a joke. In fact, it is violating the Criminal Code 430. It's mischief over $5,000. It can maximum fine is 10 years in jail, maximum. So it's not a joke, it's a criminal offense. Since the last few days, 16 cameras have been taken down. You add to it the one in Parkside, that's 17 cameras. I expect the police to do what they can to bring the criminals to justice and work with the city very closely to prevent further thefts, vandalism, destruction of public property, because we need to keep our community, our most vulnerable road users such as children and seniors safe. And already 250 people have been killed or seriously injured since 2024.
Mayor, have you had a chance to actually speak to the police chief about where the investigation's at? Because they're really not saying much of anything to us as far as where they're at.
Yes, I have spoken to the chief this morning, and he assured me he's going to bring the criminals to justice. As to how he's investigating, what kind of investigation unit, it's not, what methodology, where it's at, it's not up for me to comment. You have to ask the chief about that.
So, but wait a minute, we've had months and months of this.
That's right.
We've had cameras chopped down. We have civilians that actually have taken surveillance video. We have no suspect descriptions from police, no arrest, nothing. How serious do you think police are taking this?
Well, the chief assured me that he is taking it very seriously. I cannot speak on behalf of the chief. He assured me he's going to bring these vandals, these criminals to justice, and he will help protect the speed camera. 17 cameras in the last 2 or 3 days. That's not a joking matter. And if one of those cameras are missing and people are speeding and someone get hit, by gosh. Okay, then that person is responsible because the camera is down. Because we do know when we set up the cameras, where are they set up? They're setting up in community and school zones. Kids are going back to school this week. For heaven's sake, stop tampering with public safety device, which is what this speed camera is about.
Mayor, coming off those strong words, you have another problem on your hand. The Premier very openly today saying that he thinks it's a cash grab and he wants to do away with it, and he says if cities don't, he will. So it potentially looks like one way or the other, speed cameras are going down, even though the Premier neglected sort of the safety portion of this. How concerned are you about that?
Well, we know that we have safety cameras. We have 150 cameras. It's keeping our children, our seniors, our neighborhoods safe so that people are not speeding and ripping into the neighborhood and hitting kids. I have just seen some of the cars are just irresponsible, right? Like, don't break the law. Don't speed, then you won't get a ticket. You won't have to pay a fine. If you're breaking the law, there has to be consequences. Lawlessness, in my book, is not a way to run a city. If you break the law, if the speed is supposed to be 30K, you are over 30K, if you hit someone, you're going to cost that person a higher percentage of death or serious injury. So that's inexcusable. So, number one, stop speeding, obey the law, obey the speed limit, and stop tampering with public property because it is a criminal offense. It can net you maximum 10 years in jail.
Regardless of the reasoning behind this, it's very clear just by the pattern that you have a problem with just keeping these things up. Do you need to redesign the cameras? I know they're obviously designed so they can be repositioned, but if they can be tipped over or chopped down, one of your city councilors is suggesting that something needs to be done to make sure that it's not just spending time on the ground.
Well, I'm not an engineer. I don't want to preempt what the expert may say of how the cameras are installed, how it works. We have a contract with a company that replaced them within 30 days, and I'll leave it for the expert to decide how to install those cameras, how to protect them. Look, we have criminals that do these kind of deeds, and they should not be allowed. They need to be caught.
Mayor,
And
one camera being cut down at Parkside over and over is one thing.
Yeah.
16 cameras in a single night is either a heck of a coincidence or something that's more coordinated. Is there something to be really concerned about there, that there could be a group of people out there who are doing a sort of coordinated effort here to take these down?
I don't know. I'm not an enforcement officer. I think it's important that the chief and the police really work with the city to help protect these cameras, number one. Number two, maybe give us some ways on how we could protect these cameras. And we are not law enforcement officer. Policing is the sole responsibility of the chief and his officers. And as to when and how they're going to investigate and bring these criminals to justice, that's really up for him to comment.
The premier says the cameras are a cash grab. Are the cameras a cash grab?
The camera is there to protect our most vulnerable, whether they're children going to school or seniors going shopping or going to see a doctor. They are protecting our citizens. If someone got hit in 50 kilometers, 85% chance they're going to die. Okay? 30K, only 10%. This is what speeding will do. It increased the chance of people being seriously injured or really die on the road. If you get hit by 50K, you're mostly gone. Okay? But if it's supposed to be 40K or 30K, if you're speeding, 10K or 15K, you know what? You're causing death and destruction if you hit someone. So stop speeding, obey the law, and do know dangerous driving also is a serious offense.
At least with the Parkside camera, it's had a security camera guarding it for months now. We haven't seen a single spill from that camera. Do you think it would maybe help deter people if the cops took a printout of that, maybe even stuck it to the pole next to it, be like, we know who you are?
Again, it's not for me to comment on the police operation. They have had this file. They understand that these cameras have come down many times, especially the one in Parkside, and they know, right? They have known about it. They've been investigating as to how they're going to investigate, what they're planning to do, when will they go public, and that's totally up to the chief.
But Mayor, I understand it's not your place to comment, but the Toronto Police did get into a bit of a fight with City Hall last year to get more money in their budget. We just approved a new plan to hire more officers in the next several years. I mean, isn't it a reasonable expectation for the people of the city, for the cops to investigate this and provide some fruits of the investigation, at least some updates at some point?
I do know that under the budget chief, Sherry Carroll, now the chair of the police service board, that the police budget have been increased. Therefore, having a 5-year staffing plan, and this plan allowed the police officers to hire the maximum number of officers they can train. Each year is about 90 per class. 4 times a year, that's about 360 officers per year of new officers. So they do have officers deployed on the street. speed, but as to how they are investigating and how they are, what work they are doing to prevent the theft and the destruction of the speed camera. I'm going to leave it for the chief to comment. I do know speed kills, and I do know these speed cameras are very effective because the sick kids data tells me that if it's 10K over the limit, if there's a speed camera there, it drops by 74%. If they are 15K over the limit, it drops by 84%. It eliminates most of the speeding. If you're 24K over the limit, that you get hit by that one, you're going to die. It's 88% drop. So we know that these cameras save lives. These cameras make sure people obey the laws and not speed in a way that is illegal.
So, Mayor Chow, you're clearly putting out a message that these cameras are not about money, they're about safety.
No, it's about safety because where are we putting them? We're not putting them at places where you want to catch people that are speeding. We're putting them in places where we protect our kids. They are mostly in school zones, community zones, places where the people that are speeding too much, that's like Parkside, that's where we put them. They are also put in places where there's a lot of speeding that have caused death and destruction. That's where they're at. We go by signs. If there's a corner, an intersection that has a high number of injuries or accidents caused by speeding, that's where the camera is going to be.
But then isn't it a problem that the premier of this province is getting up saying it's a cash grab and not about community safety?
I will let the premier make his own decisions. What I do know is that there's clear evidence that speed cameras slow cars down, and when cars obey the traffic laws, we save lives. And one death, one serious injury is too much. I have been, whether they're cyclists or pedestrian, young kids just crossing the road, going to school or after school, walking across an intersection, get killed by left-turning cars. We've seen too many of them. And I've spoken to their families, members. It's heartbreaking, especially for young people to lose their lives. And I've spoken to widows who have lost their loved ones because they were killed. We do know in 2024, there's 111 pedestrians that are seriously injured. 24 of them died. And 30 cyclists were seriously injured. 6 of the cyclists died. So I can give you numbers, but it's not numbers. These are lives. And one death caused by speeding is too many. And let us make sure that we have these speed cameras to slow the car down so they do not violate the rules of the road.
Is it spending more money to replace them, or is it a third-party company that looks after all costs?
Thank you for that question. A third party signed a contract with the City of Toronto and looks after all the cost, and no, it does not cost the city any extra dollars. But that's not the point. The point is that during the time that it takes for us to replace it, cars might be speeding at that point. What if they hit someone? What if that person died? Okay, so taking down speed cameras and stealing them or cutting them down, destroying them, means that it's more dangerous on the road.
To those who complain that this is just a cash grab, would it help the city's position by only directing the money, the revenue that they raise into Vision Zero projects?
But that's what we're doing. We are
But
directing.
solely on that.
I could look into it, but if you don't speed, you don't break the law, you won't get a ticket in the first place. What are we grabbing? We're grabbing people that are doing illegal things. They are on the road breaking the Highway Traffic Act. They're breaking the law. They are speeding. And if they hit someone, they're going to cause death and destruction, okay? Especially if they're fast.
They were catching too many people, so they stopped with the cameras. I mean, it didn't make any sense. They were making too much money, getting too many drivers, so they pulled all the cameras down.
Well, that is Why are we pulling over that many why are we pulling over that many drivers? Why are so many drivers having to pay? Because they're speeding. If they don't speed, they won't have to pay anything. There's no cash to be grabbed. Okay, just obey the law. That's all you need, right? Think about your kid. Think about your grandkids. Think about a kid that don't come home today at 4 o'clock because they got hit by a car that is speeding, a car in an intersection where the cameras went down because they think they can speed. How would you feel?
Mayor, just quick on transit, TTC recently floated the idea of fare capping. Want to get your thoughts on that?
I'll leave it for TDC. I don't know, don't believe that is a place. They are looking at different things. I do know that TDC have received the highest dollar amount historically to fix their old infrastructure because it's after a decade of neglect, many years of not fixing the tracks and the signals, and you're leading to slow zones, you're leading to tracks and signal failure, service disruption. We are fixing all of that. We've cut the backlog of the repair by half, okay, by our historic investment. So we can do more, of course, but we're investing in public transit so people can use TDC the better way. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
And so we are just listening to Mayor Olivia Chow talking about the speed cameras that are in question. These are the ones that are being cut down, so many across the city. And she says, she brought in some statistics. She said, if you get hit by a car going 50 kilometers an hour, there is an 85% chance that you will die. She said that Sick Kids did a study that the speed cameras are in fact working. And she also said that the police chief told her that he's taking this seriously, that he will bring these vandals to justice.